Have you all been decking the halls? Scurrying around?
Wandering the halls of
We have a lot of traditions, don't we? A tradition is a custom that's long-standing, custom belief that's been passed down for generation to generation. And our Christmas traditions come from a wide and varied source from ancient times, worshiping, honoring spirit and nature and cycles and planets and seasons, all through moving into more recent ancestry, having a Christmas tree. I believe that came from Germany, where we bring evergreen inside to help us remember spirit, that we can touch spirit. So we have all these traditions from different customs and countries and times. So we have our Christmas tree, and we have Saint Nick, and we have Santa Claus, and we have elves, and we have flying reindeers, and we have stockings and wooden shoes, and we have elves, and all manner of things that might not seem like they all fit together. And we take those traditions, and then they're filtered down through our own family background, ethnicity, personalities, and then they become changed and unique to us. And in that process, we experience a lot of joy and fun, and there's just a conglomeration of everything. And I was walking in our neighborhood, and I like to walk and see what people have in their yards, and a lot of people have what you would think they would have, the nativity scene, and you know, because we have all this other stuff along the side of the birth of Jesus. And so there's the nativity scene and some stars, and I got to one yard, and they had Noel written in, you know, letters and lighted, candy canes lining the driveway, good. The nativity scene, they had Cinderella's castle. It's like, wow, that's magical. They had a little train, they had a cross, a star, then they had a pink flamingo and a Santa suit.
Awesome.
And there was many things, but the one that really stood out to me was the flying pig and the Santa suit and hat with a red tutu. And I just stood and I just looked, and there across the other neighborhood had Eiffel Tower and trains and all different things. And I just thought, wow, what a menagerie of wonderment that they did all that together. I wonder if that's tradition. I wonder what the inside of their house looks like. But it did make me have that sense of wonder, and I stood there and I thought, wow, I bet that was a lot of work. And but my tradition is a lot simpler. I grew up in the Northeast, and so we got our Christmas tree at Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving weekend when we got a real one, and then we started getting artificial. And my dad was in charge of the Christmas tree, and you know, back then you had your lights, and they had the 3 strands, and you wrapped them around newspaper, and then you had to pull them all the way through the hall and find the loose bulb. No, this makes it blank. No, this one, and I was a child. Oh, don't step on the lights. And I don't necessarily remember as fun, but it was just what we did, and it's what we all have to do, I guess, when we get our lights out. And then the tree had masses of ornaments. We had lights, colored lights and white lights, blinking and non-blinking. And my mom didn't participate in decorating the tree, and I found out that they never decorated a tree when they were little. They got their tree on Christmas Eve, they went to bed, and Santa trimmed the tree And they didn't get to see the tree until after a big breakfast and the dishes were done.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm glad we didn't carry that tradition into our house. So she did baking and stuff, and my dad and I would do the tree. And he had loaded with ornaments, all kinds of the old-fashioned glass ornaments, and it was just full. Do the Christmas village, had the little mirror that had the metal ice skaters, and you put the gun. And we had a wreath and some other things. But that was it. And so it was a little more simply. And I remember there was always the 1947 version of Miracle on 34th Street in the background while we were doing it. And then Holiday Inn with Fred Astaire and Bing Crosby, all those old things. And that was kind of our tradition in getting ready for Christmas. And then our big thing was Christmas Eve, where I would wait for my grandparents to come. It always snowed every Christmas Eve, and I would sit and watch, hoping they would make it, because we lived at the bottom of two hills, and you'd sit and watch the cars slide down the hill and make it. And so they would come, and we'd have, they always brought lots of presents. Grandparents are so great. And my Mimi always brought French onion dip, so that was the big thing. That's what I loved, French onion dip, and had Sprite or soda or something. But we had our meal, and then we would, of course, do the dishes. Everything had to be put away, and as a little child, we got to open our presents Christmas Eve that my grandparents brought. And so we would do that. And my grandmother always bought me an ornament, and it had my name and the date on. So every year I would get an ornament, and we'd put that on the tree, and that was a big thing. And then Christmas was Santa brought one toy, and the big thing was my stocking. My stocking was filled with things that smelled good, like my own little bubble bath body wash, toothbrush, travel size toothpaste and deodorant and lotions, and maybe some jewelry and those Avon pins that had the solid perfume in them. And that was the big thing, was the stocking. So it was pretty simple, and we went to church Christmas Day. And so when I look around at how people really go all out, it almost starts to become stressful. And so we try and hang on to these traditions that we do. So when I met John, his kids were teenagers, and my son was 2. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do stocking. And so I did stocking for them, and I had a toothbrush, deodorant, toothpaste, and like maybe little smelly things that you put in your sneakers, maybe a little air freshener for your car, just little things. And I remember Ryan got a stocking, they went, toothbrush? Deodorant? Like, do I stink? Like they almost were offended by what I put in there, because they had toys, when they, but my tradition, that meant we had a 1-bathroom household back in the day. So my little toothpaste was my toothpaste. My little things, those were all mine that I used that were special for me in a 1-bathroom household. Now when you grow up in a 2 or 3 bathroom household, deodorant and toothpaste probably isn't very exciting and maybe offensive. So as you can see that we hang on to these things because I liked them, that really doesn't mean that anybody else is going to like them. And we get to the point where sometimes we have to do what's always been done. Well, we always have that on the tree, or we always have to put up that garland, we always have to have 5 trees in the house. And it becomes, you're squeezing the spirit out of Christmas. The rushing, the standing in lines, the I have to bake, I have to do this, or everything has to be perfect. And we start to stress that everything has to be perfect, and it's only a tradition that's supposed to help us go within the touch spirit and find God. And it's contradicting the very purpose that it's there for. And I love Christmas tree. I love the lights. When I was a child, I couldn't wait to get up in the morning and plug in the lights in the dark. And I would sit and I would feel peace. And I would look in those balls, you know, you could see your face. Silly, it's silly, but it made me happy. And when I would come home from school, it was the Northeast, so it was dark. And I'd run and plug in the Christmas tree and lay down and do my homework under the Christmas tree. And just kind of be in the energy till you had to get ready for dinner. So I love a Christmas tree. But if it were stressful, a few years I didn't put up a Christmas tree. I don't need to have the Christmas tree because I'll put some lights and some candles on the table. And I can look at light, and that can remind me of my own light. And we all love to look at lights, don't we? Mm-hmm. Something about looking at light makes us go, oh, that's so pretty, and it opens our heart. So the stress of our traditions sometimes leads us to not be happy at the holidays. And does anybody ever feel stressed at the holidays or overwhelmed? I have so much to do. When you say I have so much to do, you're putting your body automatically in overwhelm. You already automatically get overwhelmed. And the purpose of our tradition is the gathering together in feast and song and prayer. It's always been about gathering together, touching spirit, honoring spirit, being at wonder of spirit and how everything works. And so we all sometimes, when we come together with our family, are we in that space where we're enjoying that? Sometimes people say if you think you're enlightened, then visit your family. But when Jesus would gather, he would always be himself. He would share his gifts of who he was during the feasts. He would heal, he would teach, he would be. Every time people gathered, that's when he got to show who he was. And we have to think about coming together. Are we really showing our true nature of who we are? Or are we exhausted from the trappings of tradition? So how could we maybe not be like that? Would be a question you might ask. Does anybody wonder that? How can I make this Christmas or holiday season special without being stressed? Okay. You know, we have another custom, tradition that's been handed down from generations to generations. And it was one that Jesus gave us. It's about going within. And I opened to the story where the three wise men, Jesus returns and sees the three wise men that were originally at his birth in the Aquarian Gospel. So when Jesus was about 24, he was reunited with them. And they asked him, "What is that light that shines around you? We don't understand what that light is." And can you tell us where it comes from? And Jesus said, "This is the silence where the soul may meet its God. And there the fount of wisdom is, and all who enter are immersed in light and filled with wisdom, love, and power. Then the Magi said, "Tell me about the silence and this light, that I may go there and abide." And Jesus said, "The silence is not circumscribed. It is not a place closed in with wall or rocky steps, nor guarded by a sword of man. Men carry with them all the time the secret place where they may meet their God. It matters not where men abide, on mountaintop, in deepest vale, in marts of trade, or in quiet home. They may at any time fling wide the door and find the silence, find the house of God. It is within the soul. One may not be so much disturbed by noise of business and the words and thoughts of men if he goes all alone into the valley of the mountain pass. And when life's heavy load is pressing hard, it is far better to go out and seek a quiet place to pray and meditate. Jesus was always going away and coming back. He was always going away to connect with Spirit, and then gathering with his disciples and his friends, and going away, going within, and coming together to gather and express Spirit with a group of people. When in the silence, phantom forms may flit before the mind. We know what those are, right? But they are all subservient to the will. The master soul may speak, and they are gone. So when we're going within and trying to meditate, sometimes we have a lot of distracting thoughts, don't we? If you would find the silence of your soul, you must yourself prepare the way. None but the pure in heart can enter. You must lay aside all tenseness of the mind, all business cares, all fears, all doubts, and troubled thoughts. Your human will must be absorbed by the divine. Then you will come into the consciousness of holiness. If we can take a moment to let our will be absorbed by the divine, how much greater can our holiday season be? How much greater will our life be? You are within the holy place, and you will see upon a living shrine of candles of the Lord aflame. And so when you see it burning, look deep within the temple of your brain, and you will see it all aglow. In every part, from head to foot, are candles all in place, just waiting to be lit by a flame, a torch of love. He's talking about our chakras. All along our spine, all along is energy that's waiting to be lit by the divine. We'll be lighting our own candles for our Christmas season. When you see all the candles aflame, just look and you will see with the eyes of soul the waters of the fount of wisdom running on, and you may drink and there abide. And the curtains will part, and you are in the holiest of all, where rests the ark of God, whose covering is the mercy seat. So, going within, what if we went within and we had sometimes it's easier for us to have a task. I'm going to go in and light my chakras up. I'm going to light these candles, these flames within me, instead of making sure that my lights are perfect in the outer. Maybe some of you have people in your family where every ornament and light has to be equidistant from the other. And things have to be just so. And that's okay if it makes you happy. But does it really make you happy? Or is it a distraction that I have to make that perfect in the outer before I can go in the inner. And when I go within, then everything is beautiful how it is when I see through the eyes of soul. Breathe. So, when we come together, my goal is to go within and see what am I supposed to do for this particular Christmas season. I'm definitely going to get a tree this year. And how can I do something different? What traditions am I holding on to that might not be serving me, that might be a distraction that I feel I have to do? Does anybody ever feel like they have to do something for the holidays because it has to be that way? I have to make a certain dish. I have to make all those pies just because my mom always made all those pies, or I have to do that. I believe that when we go within, we will be able to share who we are, as Jesus did. And that was his gift to us, was to bring love back to the planet, to remind us that God is within, and to be that light. And then it could be a glorious day when the parents say, we're going to Hawaii for Christmas and you guys are on your own. It allows you to do something different that is going to be good for the whole, instead of feeling that you have to be a slave to tradition. Because tradition's not here to make us a slave, it's here to help us reconnect. And we want to make sure that if it's not doing that, then maybe it's time to change something. Are you ready to go within? Light your candles. God, I ask that calm of light come over everybody in this space, and that we're held in a collective calm of light. And I ask that everyone just lift up that calm of light just a little bit above the heaviness of the earth plane, all the to-dos. And in your mind, just go within. Feel a sense of being drawn into your own body, into your heart. And in your mind, I want you to think about possibly a tradition that creates discord or stress, or a Christmas memory. And just feel where that feels in your body. Where are you feeling any kind of pressure or sensation? And just notice that for right now. And now imagine that you see 7 candles lit along your spine. And notice how each flame is. Look at your root. Is it burning bright? Or is it wavering, flickering? And then ask that divine love light that flame, that candle. And just move up into your spleen area, your abdomen. Notice how that candle is burning, if it is. It might be wildly out of control. It might be just flickering. And just ask again, God, I ask divine love to quicken that flame. Move up into your pit of your stomach, into your solar. Notice how that flame is. Again, God. As divine love, ignite, balance, harmonize that flame within me into your heart. Feel that love. Notice that flame. Again. God, your divine love. Balance and harmonize this flame. Let it glow, grow. In your throat. Ask divine love, move into that flame. I may speak with love. Divine love move through my brow. And that divine love in my crown. I desire that all my lights be quickened, illumined, as I feel divine love within me. This is my tradition. This is the custom that Jesus brought. And just take a deep breath. Notice how you feel. Feel that gratitude for being on the earth, being spirit and human. What an awesome opportunity. We are so grateful, God, that Jesus brought your love to earth and can flow through us. Just take a deep breath. When you're ready, just open your eyes. Are you seeing differently? Does everything kind of look blurry? Brighter? If we walk through this holiday season honoring that tradition that Jesus brought, not just his birth, but what he taught and why he came, then it doesn't matter how many pies we bake or what we buy or if everything is perfect. It's important that we are being who we are with our family and friends, sharing our gifts and our light that will transcend whatever we're trying to do in the outer. So I wish for you a beautiful, light-filled holiday season where your Christ shines and all your family and friends see that. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.